Okay, so this video is me explaining a long-awaited video that I have seen a few people requested and really want is Rahu conjunct Venus. What happens when the North Node of Rahu is conjunct Venus in your birth chart? Very briefly, what is the North Node of Rahu? The North Node of Rahu is a shadow planet. It's a shadow graha. It isn't a physical planet. Is a mathematical point, a position in the universe, in the sky, where when the sun or the moon intersect and hit this point at the right degree or whatever, you get an eclipse. The North Node Rahu represents foreign, otherworldly things. It represents the things that we haven't dealt with in our past life, and therefore it represents a new area in our life that we just haven't dealt with enough over the course of several lifetimes. So therefore, because this is a new area of our life, depending on what house is in and stuff, that we haven't dealt with enough, you will make a lot of fucking mistakes in that area of your life because you don't have that much experience. You never dealt with that side enough. So that's sort of what the North Node of Rahu is. North Node Rahu is associated with felines, cats, tigers, lions. It's associated with pigs. Like I said, it deals with foreigners, foreign things. It's an obsessive. It has an obsessive nature and quality. It's a being that has a head. Rahu is the head of a dragon that doesn't have a body. And Ketu is the body that doesn't have a head. They're very symbolic. The North Node Rahu is like very symbolic of our ego. It's constantly thinking of things, always creating stuff in your mind. It's never satisfied. And the North Node Rahu, with it just being a head being, a being with a head, a bodiless being, if you was to eat something and you don't got no stomach for it to go through, it just keeps exiting. You're never full. You're never satisfied. So you just want more and more and more. Wherever the North Node of Rahu is in your birth chart, that is an area of your, let me rephrase that. The North Node Rahu heightens the qualities and traits of the sign and the planet is associated with. It blows up and expands and amplifies the house, the sign, and the planet that it might be in association and relation to. And I could go on and on and on about the nodes, but I already made a long video explaining in detail what is North Node Rahu and South Node Ketu, so y'all can always look at that. So what is Venus? Venus, as y'all might already know, even an amateur at astrology or someone who just casually looks at astrology videos could probably tell you some of the things that Venus represents, and they wouldn't be wrong more than likely. Venus is associated with women. Venus is a karga, a significator of marriage and love. Venus represents vehicles. Venus represents the sexual organs, bodily sexual fluids, like semen and all that stuff. Venus represents luxurious things. What other little things could I say about Venus? Those are the main things I can say about Venus. Of course, the personification of Venus in Hinduism and Vedic astrology is Shukracharya, who is a guru, a teacher, just like Jupiter is. Venus is a masculine planet that has feminine traits and qualities because Shukracharya is a guy, but he grants you, sort of like Venus, your material, worldly desires and possessions. I hope I got that right for the most part. I don't want to say too much more and mislead y'all if I am being incorrect. But that's essentially what Venus is in general. Venus represents the people that you date and attract in general. many people, mainly people in tropical astrology, they associate Venus with how you express yourself romantically. And I used to think that too, but I have more commonly seen results that Venus shows and represents the people that you have dated and will attract in general in your life. Or it could just show the type of women that you might attract in general, whether you're a woman who likes women or a guy who likes guys. It can represent your relationship with women. Yeah, Venus originally rules Libra and Taurus. Taurus rules the second house of the mouth, of your personal finances. So that's one aspect inside of why Venus is associated with, wealth and stuff. And the second sign that Venus rules is Libra. Libra is Venus's multiple sign. It is the sign that Venus feels very natural, strong, and comfortable in. It is the sign that best expresses the qualities and traits of Venus. And Libra is, originally rules the seventh house of relationships, marriage, business. And the seventh house also represents like luxury vehicles. You know why I said that? Because the fourth house in your birth chart represents a home and the relationship with your mother. But for the point that I'm trying to make, the fourth house represents your home. 4 places from the fourth house represents the seventh house. So the evolved version of maybe your home or forms of transportation could evolve into the seventh house, which could represent like yachts and boats and mansions. So the seventh house can also be associated with luxury vehicles or luxury homes. So yeah, I'm not gonna get too off track. So what happens when these two come into a conjunction? Of course, the effect of the conjunction depends on how close together are these planets in degrees. If they're very close, you'll strongly feel this impact of the conjunction. But you will, with this conjunction, you could not know what the hell you want romantically. Because Rahu is otherworldly things. It represents a new area of your life that you haven't really dealt with or gave enough attention to. So Venus conjunct Rahu shows that you haven't dealt with women enough over the course of your several lifetimes. Rahu conjunct Venus shows you haven't dealt with matters maybe in regards to sex enough. You haven't dealt with matters in regards to love and relationships probably enough. You haven't dealt with things in regards to luxurious stuff and clothing. You haven't fulfilled these desires. The North Node of Rahu represents like unfulfilled desires, things that you haven't done. It represents something that you probably wanted to do or wish you had done in a previous lifetime, and now you have been reborn in this lifetime so that you get another shot at fulfilling that unfulfilled desire that you didn't get to achieve either in your last lifetime or several lifetimes. So Rahu conjunct Venus shows that in this lifetime you have a desire for women and love and marriage and sex and the finest things of life materialistically. And since Rahu exaggerates and blows up the house and sign and planet that it's associated with, you would become unsatisfied because what you could be looking for, what you could be seeking, could be unrealistic and it doesn't exist. You could be a girl and have this conjunction. You could have been met Mr. Right a long time ago. You could have been found and ran across the type of guy that, you know what, this is probably a good guy for me to settle down and maybe have kids with. He's stable, he has this going on, and I think I would be happy. But then you see all these other guys or women, you see all these other options that you can mess with, and you're like, man, he's a good guy and I'm feeling him, but I want to explore these other options. I'm gonna put this guy to the side because I really don't want to hurt him. I don't want to break his heart. He doesn't deserve this, so I'm gonna just put put him to the side, and I'm gonna go and mess with all these other people. The same scenario that I just gave for the women could be vice versa for a guy. Guy could have met Mrs. Right a long time ago, but he wants to explore everything. He wants to explore all the women, or maybe explore the same sex, because Rahu represents foreign things. So it's like, okay, you could be a guy, you could be a girl, and you could have dated the opposite sex for a while. You're like, you know what? This is cool. This is all right, dating the opposite sex. But you know what I want to try? You know what I want to experiment with? I want to experience how would it be dating someone who has the same gender as me, or who identifies as the same gender as me. That's what I want to experiment with. Or I want to experiment with freaky, kinky, sexual things. That's what I could want to experiment with if you have Rahu conjunct Venus. And I'm about to get real raunchy and raw, but I don't care. Like, a guy could have this, or a woman could have this, and you know, the guy's prostate, his G-spot is his prostate, is in his ass. The guy might have that desire to maybe want to explore that side of himself. Or maybe a woman might be into pegging, or just into these type of otherworldly, sexual, freaky, kinky things that might be hidden or kept hush-hush in the world, in the society, because Rahu represents, like I said, taboo things. It wants to explore something forbidden, explore something new and different. So, you know, your sex life, what you could desire out of a mate, romantically or sexually, could be unrealistic. So therefore, you could have the best sex of your life, but you could be like, it was great, but I want more. It was okay, but I don't know, I want to try something else. That's how you could be. You could be very unsatisfied romantically with Rahu conjunct Venus, because, like I said, the love that you are envisioning for yourself is just not realistic. You could just have either this unrealistic view on love and marriage and sex, and it's like, baby, it doesn't really exist. Or you need to humble yourself, lower your expectations a bit. But of course, the things that I'm saying, they all will vary to great degrees dependent on the sign and nakshatra that Rahu and Venus are in. I'm just giving something very general to hit everything, you know. But Rahu conjunct Venus, you could date someone who is of a different race of you. You could date someone who has an accent. You could date people who could be long distant. You could travel to meet people who you date and have relationships with. Or the people that you date and attract and have serious connections with or whatever, they could be people who travel far away to come see you, or they could just be someone who lives far away or whatever. Because Rahu represents foreign things. So you could just date someone who lives in another country, be of a different race, have an accent or whatever. And potentially, when you run the Mahadasha, the time period of either Venus or Rahu, but mainly Rahu with this conjunction, you could get married automatically. It has been seen that when a person runs the Mahadasha, the planetary time period of Rahu in general, that there has been a great percentage seen that people either, you know, travel somewhere far away, go to another country, and or they get married or start having relationships during that time of their Rahu Mahadasha. Or like I said, or, you know, you could get married, because it's also been seen that when Rahu is conjunct Venus and you run that time period of Rahu or Venus, since they're both together, you could get married or relationships could start coming to you. It has been seen that when transiting North Node Rahu goes over your natal Venus, that you could get married, you could get into a relationship, or you could start having wild, exotic, romantic, sexual encounters. You might run into a porn star or something like that. You might decide to get an OnlyFans during your Rahu period, or if Rahu is transiting and influencing your Venus, these type of things might happen. I hope I'm not sounding like I'm coming off real funny. I'm trying to be serious, but this is real stuff that could actually happen in the modern day sense with Rahu and Venus coming together. But you see how Rahu conjunct Venus is sort of similar to Ketu conjunct Venus? Just look at the videos, but I'm gonna briefly tell you why they're sort of similar. Rahu and Ketu in general, they go about something in different ways, but they can produce the same results. Rahu conjunct Venus person could be very unsatisfied because what they're looking for is unrealistic. It doesn't exist. Or they could have met the right person or the right things a million times, but they just always want more. They're just never satisfied. The South Node Ketu conjunct Venus, it shows that they've already dealt with the things in relation to Venus, and therefore they don't really want it. They're unsatisfied with it. But if they're going to redo those things in relation to Venus, then it's got to be something better and different than what they have already dealt with over the course of their past lifetimes. And them trying to deal with and experiment and pursue something that is different from what they have dealt with over a course of maybe several lifetimes could be very unrealistic, just like Rahu. So, you know, Rahu conjunct Venus, you just gotta get those desires of women all out of your system. Get the desires of having the nicest of vehicles out of your system, because like I said, Venus represents vehicles. So you could really desire the finest things of life: a nice car, a nice house. You just want to be satisfied materialistically. Rahu conjunct Venus, you could over exaggerate your love life. You could think your love life is the shit. You could think you date and attract the best women, the best guys, and it could be a lie, because Rahu's associated with illusions. It's an eclipse. You're not seeing things straight. You're not seeing things clearly. You're over-exaggerating your love life. So yes, Rahu conjunct Venus, you can over-exaggerate your love life, over-exaggerate your sex life, over-exaggerate how nice your, material possessions are. You could, over-exaggerate how nice your material possessions are. What else, Jordan? That's essentially like the main things with Rahu conjunct Venus. Y'all should be able to basically understand where the hell I'm coming from with this. But yeah, I'ma just tie this up in a knot. That is essentially it for what happens when Rahu conjuncts Venus. I hope this gave you great clarity and insight on what to expect if you have Rahu conjunct Venus in your birth chart, and see you when I make another video. Hopefully I don't gotta make no changes to this one if I remember something. See ya.